The first question we ask everyone when doing these interviews is, what music did you grow up listening to? What's the music of your childhood?
Music of my childhood, Ebenezer Obey, Sunny Ade, Fela Kuti, and then you've got people like Felix Liberty, Chris Okutie, Lorraine, who I did some work for, Onyeka Onwenu, Christy Anibukwe.
Mm.
And then you've got the international people like Lisa Cult Jam, Madonna. Wow. It just, who else? Sade.
Mm.
Sade was very much out there. I think she's a good few years older than me. She doesn't look it,
Yeah.
but she's like,
Yeah.
Sade. I was listening to Sade, Aretha Franklin, even Anita Baker, who I used to do my vocal warm-ups to. I do my vocal warm-ups to Anita Baker. She helped me to stretch my vocals. And also the stuff my parents played, to be fair.
Yeah.
My mum was very into Motown. So I listened to a lot of Motown growing up, a lot. Barry White, the Stylistics, people you probably don't even know about, but
Oh,
yeah,
trust me, we do know about them.
yeah. So yeah, I had a music-filled life, basically. My mum used to sing also. And she taught me how to sing. She'd take me into the bathroom and get me to practice my vocal skills in the bathroom, running up scales, up and down, from a very young age. So yeah.
That's really awesome. So what was the primary mode of getting music at that time in Nigeria? Was it mostly vinyls? Was it tape? Was it radio? And
It was radio. So as a young kid, you would listen to all your favorite. Man, things have changed. Anyway, as a young kid, the radio stations provided all your content. We got all our social media content from radio and TV. That's how we rolled. You know, it wasn't as convoluted and diluted as it is now, where everybody's a TV station and everybody's something. We got it from people who had a bit of a professional standing, who were trained to bring what should perhaps be coming. So a lot of radio stations would have musical shows. You would set your cassette player to record that show. And as soon as you got the song that you wanted to listen to, you'd press play on your cassette player that was attached to the radio station to grab the tunes that you wanted. And you just do mixes off the radio station. You know, people like NTA would have their shows. You know, that you listen to NTA radio and various other Nigerian radio stations. You just, record off their shows, and you'd go to the shop, buy vinyl, interact with other people, discuss music, go to the shop, buy vinyl. And be in sort of creative circles and creative collaborative circles, whereas now we're sort of all isolated to our phones, which is wonderful, but it could be better. It could be better. It could be more personal and more human touch kind of situation. Yeah.
Well, that's fascinating. And that attachment, we've recently been collecting donated vinyls from families that still have them. And there's really something about the physical, holding the piece of music. It feels like more tactile than it is now. Would you say you were sort of set up to for a life in music? You just mentioned your mom running you through scales and vocal warm-ups. Was it something that was always available to you?
It was very organic. I remember winning a vocal competition at Ikoyi Club at the age of 8 years old. In Ikoyi Club vocal competition at the drop of a hat. And that's because organically my mum and myself used to sing together, and we'd go to the bathroom and practice songs. And it wasn't in preparation for anything. It was just having fun, organic, sharing. That's how we bonded with music. Wow. So I suppose she saw a gift.
Yeah.
And she started preparing me for what was to come.
That's amazing. So we know you were singing in church as well, in the church choir. What was that transition from the church to singing, to getting a record deal, working on the album Breakthrough? what was that? Can you describe what that transition was?
Um, it was a split personality transition,
Hmm.
which was, you know, it's very easy to fall off a path.
Hmm.
You think you're on a path and you think you're studying your religious path, and then suddenly you sort of veer off. And I found it amazing how easily I could write secular lyrics, world lyrics as opposed to writing gospel lyrics. It
Hmm.
came so naturally to me. And my relationship with God became more of a, you say your prayers, but you don't listen for an answer.
Hmm.
You just move forward in your own power. Obviously, you have God's grace. God's grace and mercy take you along the road that you're going. He follows you when you go under. He follows you when you come up for air. He's there. He's ever present. But if you're not listening to him and his direction, you just kind of naturally veer off. So it was a lesson to me in how you can just veer off into things where you're suited for, but you leave your core behind. And
Interesting.
it's taken me 40 years
Uh,
to come back to core to start releasing music that I was supposed to have released because I was initially signed to a gospel label.
wow.
It's taken me this amount of time to come back to it. Not to say I'm not an active minister of the church, leading praise
Mm-hmm.
and worship, active in the church, but it's taken me 40 years to come back to actually now recording sound that I was created to record at
Mm.
a very young age, but I was deviated away ever so gently into the secular world.
Wow.
So it's an interesting path. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's very interesting.
really fascinating.
Yeah,
Because it follows that. I mean, I think there's that African American trope. I mean, some of our best musicians, soul musicians, have come from the church, into
yeah.
secular, and it sounds like it was something similar here. So, I mean, I want to talk about the album Breakthrough. And
Mm-hmm.
um, initially, you say you were signed to a gospel
Yeah,
label,
Otto Records. Yeah.
right? So, were you? I believe it was Phase Two that released
So
it.
I was working on an album with Otto Records,
Okay.
and I was also very young. I was also being reported on by journalists at the time. So I think
Mm,
phase two saw me in a newspaper and motioned to Otto Records that they'd like to buy whatever contract I was
mm,
with, buy me out of it. I was too naive and starstruck at the time. When you're 15 years old, it's like, oh wow, ooh. And yeah, they bought me out. They actually bought me out without my consent, in a sense. It was done very like, oh, Otto Records has decided that this would be a new
mm,
venture for you. It's going to be good for you. Go this way. They have more money. They've got more power, bigger contract. You can do stuff. So I was sort of gently slid into the
mm,
worldly direction,
mm.
which was successful for me. I'm not complaining. It was a great success. My album was a multi-award winning album. I sold,
Yeah,
close to 1 million records. In those days, that was something.
yeah.
And phase two did give me a big splash. And I did have creative carte blanche to do pretty much what I liked, which was great. So there was no control in the studio. I said, here you are, play with it, find a sound.
Mm,
I was in charge of finding the sound. So it was a very
wow.
creative experience. Yeah, very creative experience.
That's a,
Except I was
mm,
perhaps
mhm,
singing the wrong words. But
yeah.
you know what I mean?
It's such an interesting experience for basically a child star, is what I'm hearing. To be in 15 in the studio with that much freedom.
Yeah.
Um, without the context you just provided, I thought it was like a completely, positive. I mean, it was a positive experience, but you're
Yeah.
saying, it didn't particularly align with
My
spirit that much.
faith.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um, but at the same time, you were in the studio working with Nkono Teles,
Mm-hmm.
on the sleeve of the album, I know you had backup singers like Dizzy K, who was, I know, a
Mm-hmm.
huge star at the time, Vino, who
Mm-hmm.
had a really big song at the time, if I remember, about Nigeria. What was that like for a 15-year-old, you know, working with
Um,
those legends?
I think when you're 15 years old, I think the beauty of being 15, 16, being a teenager is the ability to not overthink things and just actually live the experience. So I was
Mm,
just living this amazing experience. I wasn't going, oh wow, it's DDK. I was going, oh wow, we're all together creating something wonderful. Do you know what I mean?
mm.
So I wasn't starstruck. I say that I'm lying. I was starstruck when I did backing vocals for Lorena Cotier and Krista Cotier, because
Yeah.
obviously it's Krista Cotier. It was like, oh, but yeah. So, but yeah, when you're that age, you kind of tend to live in the moment. I think you're not overthinking anything.
Mm,
I think it's as we age, we start to overthink things.
mm,
Yeah.
mm.
Mm.
I have a question about Lorena Cote and that whole thing later, which is also fascinating. But also on the sleeve, it says this album was recorded in multiple studios.
Hmm.
Rogers International, Tabansi, and these are all
Hmm.
different states. Were they like taking you around Nigeria?
Yeah.
What was
We
the
went to
process? Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
we went to different states to record,
Mm,
and we ended up mastering it in the UK, in
mhm.
London. We ended up mixing and mastering it. This is when you had to do these gigantic studios with all these
Yeah.
buttons. Now you just use a laptop and you're. But yeah, so yeah, went from state to state recording. Very interesting.
Mm,
I did a lot of touring as well when I was younger, so I got to see a lot of Nigeria that way as well,
mm.
which was nice by traveling. Not so much as going out to see it, but just traveling on the road. It was good to see Nigeria, yeah,
Yeah,
in its beauty.
that's a question I ask frequently, about what touring was like then, because now we have no touring infrastructure at all. And I remember our
Mm.
conversation with Bongos, he mentioned how, this is in the 70s now. He had a tour bus called the Groovy Train, and they would start from Maiduguri and wind their way down the country. Was it similar for you? And what are your
It
thoughts
was a
on
mix.
touring now?
Touring, it was a mix of planes, because obviously late
Mm,
80s, you're going to that, you got planes. And I was also flying into different parts of Africa to tour. A mixture of planes and buses. We did a lot of university tours, so that would be a bus going from university to university to university. Um, it was good. It was comfortable. I was well provided for. Yeah, it was nice to see out of the window of the bus.
mm,
We also did a major event at Tafawa Balewa Square, which was sold out.
wow.
It's my dream to do that again, to come
Wow.
full circle.
Mm,
Just putting that out there. My dream is to come full circle with
mhm.
my music and to resell out TBS again, because I've done it once before and I'd like to do it for God this time, as opposed
Yeah,
to for like, worldly music. So that's one
yeah.
of my dreams. Mm. Yeah,
Wow.
it's amazing. Mm.
So the TBS show, I mean, how was that? I'm trying to figure out, and I guess for people who are listening to this, um, to understand like the kind of impact you had, but also the kind of structure that was behind you. Um, what, how was that put together? And was it the label doing that or the label
Yes,
with promoters? And
yes, it was done
yeah,
incredibly well. It was done. Phase Two Records did an incredible job of marketing me,
okay.
via radio. Posters were big in the day, so they
Mm,
would splash me everywhere. Um, all up and down the whole of Lagos State. There was a poster of me everywhere. So the visibility was there. The marketing was on point, television appearances. Unfortunately, all that stuff seems to have disappeared, because I know that you were after some archival stuff and there's just nothing there, which is
yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
I know that we did a lot of work with NTA and they had a big
Oh,
fire at NTA, and they lost a lot of archival stuff.
wow.
A lot. And then obviously magazines and newspapers were big in those days. They're not. Nigeria's not very good at archiving stuff, are we? We're not great at it, putting stuff away
Yeah,
in our papers or anything like
yeah,
that. So it's all gotten lost that way, I would think.
yeah,
Because I was actually in a lot of newspapers. That's how you rolled in those days. It was all in
yeah,
the daily
yeah,
papers,
yeah.
posters, radio, TV. Yeah, it's
Interesting.
lost.
Yeah, we could probably find some of that stuff. Interestingly, there's a company
Mm,
called archive.ng, and they have
yeah,
put together this project where they've archived newspapers from, I believe, the 80s down to the 2000s, and they have it all
that would be
online. and you can search. I'll probably send you some of that stuff after this.
That'd
And
be incredible.
we'll look through it as well. Um, so yeah, I guess one of the last questions on the album, you covered Taxi Driver, which is, a
Hmm.
legendary Nigerian song. Um,
Yeah.
was that more of a label decision? And um, was that more of a label decision?
Yes,
Yeah. Okay.
it was a label decision, and it was an amazing song, and I knew immediately it was going to be a hit because it was a hit before, and there was no reason why it wouldn't be a hit again.
Yeah.
I'm actually intending on redoing that song. I'm actually working on it now as we speak.
Oh, amazing.
Coming back with I don't want to call it a remix, I want to call it a re-exploration
Okay.
of the song. I think I'm going to go down gospel roots with the song,
Okay.
but it's, yeah, I think it deserves to have a rerun.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
definitely would love to
a
hear
very
that.
impactful song. Yeah,
Yeah. And you recorded Greatest Love of All as well.
yeah.
Cover of that as well. Was that your decision, like a reflection of some of the Motown stuff you grew up on, the soul music you grew up on?
Yes, I think that was the intention to have a copyright song that was local to us
Mm,
and a copyright song that was of an international flavor. Yeah, so that was the intention
okay.
behind doing it. Yeah.
Awesome. There's rumors, and I guess you could confirm if it's true, of a second album you had, which was more gospel leaning, called All My Love. Uh,
It was gospel leaning, yes, in a sense. Phase Two Records sadly ran out of money and backing through the
mm,
project. So it couldn't fully take off. It went to cassette
mm,
and they ran out of money and couldn't market it properly. So yeah, it was an album that never really quite was an album. It was never marketed properly, so it just sort of disappeared.
oh, I
That
see.
the funding wasn't there. The
Okay.
marketing funding wasn't there to back it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still got a copy of it on cassette. Yeah.
Oh, we have to get that off you somehow. Need that. We
So I
need
have to
some of
dig
that
it up
music
from
back.
wherever it is buried. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was more an exploration of themes of nationality,
Mm,
country. One of the songs on there was called Work No Day. There's no work in the
mm,
country.
mm.
And it was about, what's going on with our country, the poverty. I mean, nothing so much has really changed now. There's more of us and there's still poverty.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was an exploration of that. And that was what I was looking for, to explore the Nigerian narrative of where we are, what are we becoming, how are we
Mm.
moving forward as a people. That was what that album was supposed to be about. Yeah,
Wow. Yeah.
yeah.
Would love to hear that. And
Mm,
like any of those songs.
yeah.
With Laureen, I mean, Chris Okotie, for a lot of young Nigerians, they're surprised to know he was like the whiz kid of his time. He was like this major pop star. So how did you get to record on Laureen's album? And
Um,
him?
I think that people must have called my people,
Mm,
essentially. I didn't know them personally. Their people called my people. And I got to do BBs on her album. Coincidentally,
mm.
I was in Lagos a couple of weeks ago. Chris Okotie invited me to do his event, which
Yeah,
was
we saw that.
insane.
Yeah.
He saw me on social media. It's like, oh, come and celebrate Independence Day
Wow.
with me. And I got to sing some of my songs, and just got a church of over 4,000 people. It was
Wow.
incredible
Yeah.
and amazing to see him. He's still an amazing artist, and he's still singing.
Yeah. Yeah.
He leads his congregation with his singing.
Mm.
And he stands there and sings, and the whole church becomes his backing vocals. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. And what a wonderful human being he is. Yeah, I
Yeah.
thoroughly enjoyed doing that ministration. Was it last week or the week before last, Taj?
Yeah.
Was it last week I did Chris Okotie? It was Independence Day.
Yeah.
And then I got to do House on the Rock Cathedral the following week.
Yeah.
So it was incredible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we saw those. The House on the Rock
Yeah.
performance especially looked
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah, it's good. I had a massive cold, but yeah, I had to pull through.
I know.
So, Yeah, that's
Yeah,
good.
amazing. I mean, so those are like your peers from the 80s, right? I mean, maybe Chris Okote is a bit older,
He's
but
older, yes.
yeah, his I mean, who were your other peers? You know, because
Do you know
from what
what?
yeah.
Yeah. Everybody was older, because I'm thinking of
Mm,
people like Tina Udiwe, Onyeka
mm,
Wenu.
mm.
Tina Udiwe was my auntie. She was probably
Wow.
maybe 8 years my senior. They were all like,
Yeah,
helping me to develop. They were peers, but older
yeah,
peers, because I was so young.
yeah.
I can't think of anybody of my own age, actually.
Can you tell us
Even
a little?
Lorraine.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think Lorraine was.
Can you tell us a bit about Tina and like
Tina Udiwe.
who she was and what she represented? Yeah.
Tina Udiwe was a singer, a rock singer who was also a design creator. So I think we met because she went into a design career. So she'd make my clothes for my tours. And she just became a auntie type counselor person.
Mm,
I know that she was a close friend of Boneka Winu also,
mm,
who I
mm.
didn't know so well. But yeah, she became my auntie advisor. I would make my clothes for touring. Yeah, no, her loss was very sad. She was an incredibly talented woman in singing, music, and design.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
she
think
was.
she's
Yeah.
I think she's really interesting because we've come across multiple people talking about her in this way. I know Charlie Boy has spoken about how she helped his career. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like we don't know. I've heard maybe two of her songs, but we don't have a very
Mm-hmm.
clear picture of who she was
Yeah,
now. So it's great to hear from you that she was a support system in and your stylist.
definitely. Yes,
Um,
definitely. And she
yeah.
was trying to bring rock. She was trying to bring rock music to
Mm,
Nigeria. I don't know that she was having much success. I
mm,
even think now with the young ones trying to bring rock into Nigeria, there's it's still a bit of a struggle with it, but that was what she was trying to do.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very niche
Yeah,
music.
very
Yeah.
niche. But
Yeah.
I guess it
Also, they call
explains
it now.
alt. Yeah, yeah, it explains the
Yeah.
connection to Charlie Boy because he was very punk in his
Yes.
and all of that.
Yeah.
Another question is, what would you say were the challenges, if any, being first of all so young in the industry, and we know the historical issue of being a woman in the industry. Would you say you were supported or isolated in any way?
Um, Supportedly isolated.
No, supported or or
Supportedly
I
isolated.
see.
So as soon as I finished the show, straight to the hotel room, go and read your books, door locked.
Wow.
So yeah, I didn't do anything. It's
Mm,
just yeah. So my joy was creating and performing. Once that was done, then you go back to reading, meditating. There was
mm,
never a question of being here or there or pictured with anybody or having any kind of
mm,
social life. Yeah, it was a very quiet experience.
mm.
Yes. And I think, yes, I was not exposed.
Yeah, that's so
I
interesting.
don't know if that's a good or bad thing even, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, I guess yeah, it's difficult to tell. But definitely interesting. I think for that age, it could go either way with exposure, right? Um,
Mm.
yeah, so last question before Onyeche asks a couple of questions of hers.
Okay.
Um, I've heard you mention before about the kind of music you made on that first album and how dance ready it was. Um, what was there a huge market for that kind of music in Nigeria at the time? And what was the general, um, what was the general, how did people take the music, basically?
Really well. I think Phase Two Records was a part of Phase Two nightclub.
Oh,
Yes, Phase Two was a nightclub in Yaba. Was it Yaba? Yaba area. Massive nightclub. It's a whole thing. If you have a dig on Phase Two, there are groups on Facebook about Phase Two, everything Phase Two.
mm,
So the owner would travel out every 3 months to America to go buy loads of vinyl. He was like a Svengali. So he always had an idea of what people wanted to listen to. So he'd bring those records. Those records would influence me to create stuff that people would want to listen to. So we were very in tune with the mood of the people at the time and what they were looking for. Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah,
And
that's
the
the
people
answer.
wanted
That's the answer.
disco and boogie.
Disco, boogie, synth,
Yes.
lots of heavy synth, very much the Lisa cult jam situation, Madonna,
Yeah.
that kind of thing, with a touch of African flavor with the Taxi Driver, which I'm looking to explore more with my new music.
Okay.
Looking to explore a high life jazz feel with my new music. Although this first single I've just produced now is more towards gospel house because I feel like gospel needs to breathe a bit more. Be less traditional, more contemporary. So I went with this first single to break into sort of that gospel house market, to go into those dark spaces of gospel house club where people are seeking God. I have another track coming out which is a bit more contemporary called Obi Mufunaya. That's a bit more contemporary gospel, but it's all about wanting to explore Alte gospel. Alte gospel, where you're not just in a church setting, being an echo chamber, but you're taking alt gospel out into the lounges, out into those spots where people can get comfortable with that sound and a message preaching the gospel. So that's my new energy, and that's the direction I'm moving into with an Afro focused beat, jazz beat, a la Taxi Driver kind of situation. I'm traveling in that direction right now, and that's what I'm working on producing.
Yeah, the new single is amazing. I'm coming home.
Yeah, it's
And
really cool.
it sounds like you haven't skipped a beat at all. The production is really right now. Your voice is soaring, and all of that. I would have said like more Amapiano, that
I'm on
house.
piano, that's it. I'm on
Yeah,
piano.
which is a kind of, it's like South African house, but very much
Yeah,
right now. And I
yeah.
absolutely loved it. I have a couple.
Most of my
Mhm.
go on, sorry.
No, I have a couple more questions about the single
Okay,
after,
cool.
but I'll let Onyeche ask a couple of her questions now.
Okay. Hi.
I
Hi.
I was wondering, did you when it you covered other people's records, did you ever feel like you learned anything about another artist's music when you performed it?
So the only song that I did a copyright of was Whitney Houston's what was that copyright I did? The Children Are Our Future. That's the only song I've ever done a copyright of, and Taxi Driver. Those are the only two songs I've ever done a copyright of. I like research and I like history, and that's how I ended up going. I ended up going to broadcasting. I always lean into and find everything I want to know about a something before I do it. That's my strong point. So I did a deep dive into Bobby Benson. I also did a deep dive into Whitney Houston, to get a flavor and to feel who these people were. So the answer is yes. I did the research before I opened my mouth and sang the songs. It just didn't fall out. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So over time, with have you gained insight or new insights into your earlier work, especially now that you're making new music? Do you think that you've seen maybe some new revelations, or you realize some new revelations, especially in regards to songwriting and to being a vocalist?
New revelations. I think I'm passionate about music. I listen to music every day. I'm a continuous music listener. So I'm continuously exploring all musical genres on a continuous basis. I listen all the way from classical through to jazz, through to contemporary, through to high life, through to house, through to I'm on piano. So I'm always plugged in and looking for trends, and also looking to what gives me a passion, would be the answer. I also look into technology behind music. I'm also looking at new producers. So I'm constantly in the game. I don't feel I've ever left music. I've not stopped ministering. I've been ministering on a platform for the last 40 years within churches. So I've never been away from the scene, if you know what I mean, except I have not produced something, which is what I'm working on now. I don't know if that's answered your question somehow.
It has. It has. You've actually opened up more questions, basically.
Okay. Yeah.
So in regards to your faith and the comments you made at the beginning of the interview with saying that you kind of, I wouldn't say deviated, but went to a different path when making secular music. Do you
Yeah.
think there's a key distinction between making gospel music and then making secular music, or is it still the same fundamentally?
It's not the same. It's not the same at all. At all. When you're making gospel music, you're delivering a message that is telling people how to, or leading people in connecting with God. And many people can connect with God in different ways. And it's finding the songs, the different connections through the songs to enable people to find a relationship with God, with Jesus Christ, to find a walk, to find a connection. It could be through a redemption song. It could be through a love song towards God. Doing music, gospel music, you're actually serving. You're serving the Lord. It's kingdom. Secular music is just secular music. It's connection. It's connectivity. Yes, it is, but it's more of a business thing. Whereas gospel music is more of yes, there is a business behind gospel, but ultimately it should be kingdom and serving kingdom. Mm-hmm. And that is really my passion. That is what I do. And that is what I want to translate my new music into. Modern music, contemporary gospel, using everything I have at hand to convey a message of, hey, the man upstairs is there. Have a chat with him. He's ready for you. It's not even about religion. It's just about connecting with your maker. He's there. He's able. He's willing. He wants to love us. He wants to spend time with us. He wants to have a relation with us. And that's what ultimately I'm trying to share now. Yeah.
All right. Phil, I think you've kind of answered a lot of my questions. But I guess I'm done.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
That's awesome.
Thanks, Anishi. Thank you.
I wanted to ask about your decision to leave Nigeria and pursue, like, what was that decision? What prompted the decision? Yeah.
Youthful exploration. I mean, like, I had a passport, let's use it. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I was raised in Nigeria. I'd never been off on my own. So it's about independence. I'd always been, when you come from a good home and then you move into sort of with Phase 2 Records kind of was like another good home in the sense of keeping you in position. I wanted to explore. I wanted to study. I wanted to grow. Yeah, and I had a passport. So yeah, it was just fine time.
Yeah. Yeah. Like now for a lot of people. So how did you find broadcasting?
I went to broadcasting school, and as a young woman, research is my biggest thing. Research, ideas. Mm-hmm. If I see a TV program I liked, I would always go to the library and find out. If I liked a producer, I'd always go and research on who that person was. I like writing. I like writing articles. So it was just playing into one of my giftings or strengths. We all have giftings and strengths. And I think when you're living, you need to explore as many as those giftings and strengths that you have as possible, because we're certainly not one-dimensional. There's so many bits of us that we're not even using yet. You'll discover that as you move along your timeline, that there's so many other things that you're capable of doing. And broadcasting was one of them for me. Yeah.
Yeah. That's so interesting, because this is new to me as well, interviewing people and all of that. I'm actually a musician myself. And I found myself, really getting into, talking to people in this way, and like a passion for it as well. I did study multimedia in school as well.
Okay.
So I have, I've always had that love for media, but this is new for me. And so you're absolutely right in that I'm learning that, this is something that, I could do besides music. But, you did it fantastically on, Smooth Breakfast with Mandy, for
Oh, I
example.
love that.
Yeah. What moments from your broadcasting career stand out the most to you as most fulfilling?
The most fulfilling interviewing Wole Soyinka was one of the best moments of my life. I need to ask Mr. Fash at Smooth if he's still got a copy of that interview, because I worked my bum off on that interview. I did a deep dive and research, and I asked him so many questions, and there was so much great communication. I felt almost like, if Wole Soyinka passed away, that interview, they should dig it up and bring it back. It was so good. I did so much hard work on the interview. Interviewing Angie Stone comes to mind because she's recently passed.
Wow.
I interviewed Angie Stone, and it became very intimate. And she talked about the lack of relationship that she had with her daughter because she was on the road touring so much. And that really stuck with me because I'm also a parent, and how her relationship with her daughter was lost because she was always so working, trying to find money. And that really touched me on a cellular level. Just that's another interview, isn't it, about moving forward as a woman, as a parent, wanting to get into creative, earning money, and then what happens to the children. That's a whole other story and interview and show right there. That was impactful. And navigating through the 2011 election, hosting a panel of 8, we were going through live elections, reporters coming in, counting votes, panel discussion. That was incredible for me.
Wow, those are some fascinating highlights.
I know.
The Angie Stone interview, we definitely need to. I mean, the Wole Soyinka one is just like mind.
Yeah, that
But
was amazing.
yeah, so do you see a link between performing as a singer and presenting as a broadcaster?
I mean, you're doing it right now. It's media, isn't it?
Yeah, it's media.
It's all media.
Yeah.
And more than ever, it works because now it's social media. Everybody's a presenter, everybody's a broadcaster. So it all flows. It's all creative, isn't it? It's all creative and creating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And storytelling as well, right?
Storytelling, yeah.
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 Yeah. So, what do you think Nigerian artists could learn from your generation's approach to music making? And what are your thoughts on contemporary Nigerian music compared to what you grew up on in Nigeria?
People. I think everybody's born for their time with their gifts and strengths. I have a lot of admiration for the music that's coming out now. I'm just so happy that artists are now being able to make serious amounts of money, whereas we probably didn't have that facility of, private jets and having large concerts and having access internationally as some of the young artists are having now. There's a lot to be proud of. What would I advise them? Normal things, authenticity, which is a given, discipline, manage your money, keep creating, have a global view, and have a relationship with God. Because if you don't have a relationship with God, you can just be walking in the wilderness and not even knowing. Or in that relationship with God, it helps you to identify what He wants to do with you in where you are or where you're at. So like a solid walk with God, it's important, I think.
Yeah. And that connects to this new song because on I'm Coming Home, you say, for all the dreams I've left to lie, right? For all the truth that I've denied, Father, forgive me, believe me, release me. I'm coming home. So what is home to you in this moment?
In that context, it is literally, I'm coming back to myself. I've been quiet for so long. It's been 40 years. 40 years, the Israelites wandered around for 40 years. There's actually a pattern in that. And two pastors brought it up. So,
Interesting.
I think there's a biblical verse that says the years that the cankerworm has taken is restoration in the 40 years. So it's coming back to myself and realizing that, hang on a minute, these are the things I'm supposed to be doing. Why have I left them? Go back to your core. Go back to where you began. Go back to your initial gifting that God has gifted you with. Go back to that. So I'm coming home to music. I'm coming home to exploring gospel music and doing what I started off doing, which I never finished. It's almost like completing the circle, but I don't want to call it a circle because, time is not a circle, it's linear. So it's completing almost or coming back to what I should have been doing all along.
Yeah.
And I'm doing it for God because, and I'm doing it at the push from God because I'm certainly not doing it out of my own strength. I'm kind of happy and contented, but I feel a lead from God and this push. So I'm pushing.
Yeah.
I'm pushing forward. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So what would you say music has taught you about resilience? And I guess maybe not just music alone, but your entire career across music and broadcasting.
Resilience, music and resilience. From a personal point of view, I can't do without music. I have to listen to music all day, every day. I know that some people don't, but I feel like there's a track for every mood that you're in. There's a gospel track for every mood you're in. There's a classical sound for every mood you're in. There's a track for praying. There's a track for running. There's a track for to steady your nervous system. Music is highly impactful and meaningful. So I think music in itself creates resilience because there's a sound for everything. Music is eternal. Music is a God thing. God was, the angels were singing in heaven for God. And I would like to get back to using it for that purpose. But as I said, taking it in an alt way so that it can be appreciated outside the church. There's a song I'm doing at the moment I'm working on called Amazing Grace. It's off a classical hymn, but we're working on a jazz version of it. And when that's heard in a bar or club or spot, they won't even know what's going on before they go, oh, that's Amazing Grace. It's finding new ways to send a message that's not in your face, but that comes in through your pores. It's not sort of shouted at you, but comes in through your pores. It's the same thing with dance music. It's not sort of shouted at you. It's coming in through your through your pores. It's not,
Yeah.
the only way I can describe it. Yeah. So that's my exploration at the moment.
Yeah. So what should we expect next as far as the music? You've mentioned 2 songs you're working on now.
Yeah.
Should we expect an album, an EP? Or?
Yes. I have a lot of tracks. We're sifting through developing direction, developing leanings, but at the moment I'm focused on working on a remix of Taxi Driver and going into that jazz highlife Afro genre is where I'm going. I say that to say that though, but I need to give a shout out because most of my streams are coming from where? Where are they? Zambia. My song's being streamed heavily in Zambia. So
in Zambia.
Give a bigger shout out to the Zambians. I think it's the must be the Piano vibe.
Yeah.
And I've got quite a few tracks that are in the store of that genre. So it's almost like, where do I?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm having fun exploring. I have a wide vocal range, so I can go anywhere, which can be hazardous in a way, because if you can go from singing jazz into singing pop into singing, it leaves you with a plethora of areas you could dive into.
Yeah.
So I'm really leaning into God to give me continued musical direction. However, I feel like no matter what you do musically, if the message is sound, then the message is sound. So yeah, watch this space.
Yeah, we're all here for whatever you decide to do next. Because yes, the vocals on I'm Coming Home are really next level, and I'm looking forward personally to hearing whatever else you're able to conjure up.